And joining me now for more is DW reporter Binish Javed. Binish, China doesn't recognize the Afghan Taliban, yet it has appointed an ambassador. Is this official recognition?
Biresh, it is certainly not an official recognition, but very close to recognizing the Taliban government. Appointing a new ambassador who has presented his credentials to the Afghan Taliban Prime Minister definitely shows that China is endorsing the government of Afghan Taliban.
And what?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And if we look at from Afghan Taliban's point of view, I think it's a big diplomatic victory for them.
And what interest does China have in Afghanistan?
There are two main interests that China has when dealing with Afghanistan. Number one, security, and number two, economy. Since Afghan Taliban have taken control of Afghanistan, the country has become a breeding ground of terrorist groups. According to UN, at least 20 different terrorist groups are operating in Afghanistan, and some of them pose threat to China. For example, Turkestan Islamic Party, which has members of Uyghur separatist groups from China's Xinjiang province. Then Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Balochistan Liberation Army, Islamic State Khorasan. And many of these terrorist groups have attacked Chinese nationals in the region, have attacked developmental projects of China. So it's essential for China to have a safe, secure, and friendly government in Afghanistan. And there have been some reports that Afghan Taliban have been able to contain threat, for example, of Turkestan Islamic Party in Badakhshan province that borders China's Xinjiang province. So security is one important concern of China. Secondly, economy. Chinese firms and China's government, they want to benefit from the resources that Afghanistan has. Biresh, China already maintains a hold of world's market of processing and refining of rare minerals such as cobalt, lithium, and other critical important minerals that are essential for many industries, but most importantly as the world industrial countries or the rich countries are moving towards green economies, they need these kind of minerals. And there are some estimates that suggest that Afghanistan might have the highest reserves of lithium, and the total worth of different minerals in Afghanistan could be $1 to $3 trillion. And China wants to access that.
And how have other countries responded to the interest that China is showing in Afghanistan?
If I talk of Western countries, it's a difficult situation for them. If Afghanistan, if China continues to invest in Afghanistan, or if China controls the resources of Afghanistan, then ultimately it increases a supply chain or strain for EU, or supply chain dependency for EU and other Western allies. But on the other hand, if China stops investing in Afghanistan, or if its projects fail in Afghanistan, then the humanitarian crisis worsens, which means that there will be more migration of people to neighboring countries, and some of these people will come to EU. EU doesn't want it. And if the country crumbles, it means there is more space for terrorist groups to rearm and regroup. And history tells us that then the threat of terrorism doesn't remain in Afghanistan or the region, it can spread.
But traditionally, it was always Pakistan that was the Afghan Taliban's biggest ally. So what explains the reason that the Taliban appear to prefer to deal with China instead of Pakistan?
I think Afghan Taliban want to assert their independence from Pakistan. They don't want to be seen as somebody who is dependent on Pakistan, but most importantly, money. All these reserves that I've talked about, it's useless for Afghan Taliban because they do not have the money nor the capacity to extract these important minerals. China has that capacity. And Biresh, we are talking of a very poor country. So almost 34 million Afghans, that's almost the size of the entire population of Poland, they are living in poverty. Afghan Taliban they do not have the capacity to help their people. And China is making big promises, such as constructing a railway line across Afghanistan,
Right.
a line that would connect Uzbekistan to Pakistan. So these kind of pledges Pakistan cannot make.
Right. Binish, what is this border dispute between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
So, Biresh, since Pakistan was created in 1947, no Afghan government has recognized Durand Line, which is an internationally recognized border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So it has always been a source of conflict between the two countries. Now, even though Pakistan has for years covertly and overtly supported Afghan Taliban, when Afghan Taliban took control of Afghanistan or came into power, they also have the same views as of the previous governments in Afghanistan. And they also reject the demarcation that Pakistan has made. So Pakistan has fenced almost more than 90% of the 2,600-kilometer border with Afghanistan for security reasons. So Afghanistan blames Pakistan that some of the areas that Pakistan claims are in its territory are actually are part of the Afghan territory. So this is a continuous dispute between the two countries.
But if this has been a continuous dispute for so many years with the previous Afghan government as well, why is it flaring up under the Taliban?
So I think the Taliban want to gain the public support. They want to drum up public support. And it's a very sensitive issue domestically in Afghanistan. I have been to Afghanistan, I have met many Afghans, and they have told me that some of the cities in Pashtun belt of Pakistan, they say that they believe that that all of that is Afghanistan's territory. So naturally, Afghan Taliban doesn't want to go against the wishes of their own people. And small incidents keep happening. For example, you would see Afghan Taliban soldiers damaging the fence or constructing or building a checkpost, which Pakistan would say that it's happening in Pakistan's territory, and that could lead to clashes between border guards, and sometimes these clashes become deadly, and we see that even civilians get killed.
As we saw in the Torkham border and other points as well. But disagreement over the border isn't the only point of discord, is it, between Pakistan and the Afghan Taliban currently?
So Pakistan says that since Afghan Taliban have taken control of Kabul, suicide attacks and terrorist attacks in Pakistan have significantly increased. Pakistan blames Afghan Taliban of harboring and also giving safe haven to Pakistani homegrown Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP. And Afghan Taliban deny these allegations. Pakistan says through different channels it has communicated to Afghan Taliban that it must control the movement or must contain the threat of TTP. But Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan enjoys support in the rank and file of Afghan Taliban, and so far we have seen that they have Pakistan says that Afghan Taliban are not able to control these attacks that Pakistan blames are emanating from Afghanistan.
Binish Javed, thanks very much for breaking that down for us. And that does it for today. There's more stories from the region on our website, dw.com/Asia. We're back again at the same time tomorrow. And see you then. Goodbye.